Okay, I'm trying to go live on using Zoom. Okay, I'm trying to go live on using Zoom. Okay, I'm trying to go live on using Zoom. So I'm on live on Zoom. Hey everyone, I think we're going to so I just switched to Zoom. Dave, thanks for I'm trying to go live. Thanks for that. So I'm going to cancel this stream here. I'm on live on Zoom. And hey everyone, there's going to be a new link. I'm going to try this on Zoom. Yeah, so I just switched to Zoom. So I'm going to end this, but we're not done. Thank you. Thanks for that. So I'm going to cancel this stream here. I'm live on Zoom. And hey, everyone, I'm going to add you. I'm going to try this on Zoom. Yeah, so I just switched to Zoom. So I'm going to end this, but we're not done. Thank you. Thanks for that. I'm hearing myself like 5 times. So I'm going to cancel this stream here. I'm live on Zoom. And hey, everyone, I'm going to add you. I'm going to try this on Zoom. Yeah, so I just switched to Zoom. So I'm going to end this, but we're not done. Thank you. Thanks for that. I'm hearing myself like 5 times. So I'm going to cancel this stream here. I'm live on Zoom. And hey, everyone, I'm going to add you. I'm going to try this on Zoom. Yeah, so I just switched to Zoom. I'm going to end this, but we're not done. Okay, so I just sent you an invite, Sal. This stream here, live on Zoom. And hey, everyone, I'm going to add you. I'm going to try this on Zoom. Yeah, so I just switched to Zoom. I'm going to end this, but we're not done. Okay, so I just sent you an invite, Sal. This stream here, live on Zoom. And hey, everyone, I'm going to add you. I'm going to try this on Zoom. Yeah, so I just switched to Zoom. I'm going to end this, but we're not done. Are you on, Sal? I just sent you an invite, Sal. This stream here, live on Zoom. And hey, everyone, I'm going to add you. I'm going to try this on Zoom. Yeah, so I just switched to Zoom. I'm going to end this, but we're not done. Are you on, Sal? I just sent you an invite, Sal. This stream here, live on Zoom. And hey, everyone, I'm going to add you. I'm going to try this on Zoom. Yeah, so I just switched to Zoom. I'm going to end this, but we're not done. Are you on, Sal? I just sent you an invite, Sal. This stream here, live on Zoom.
Hello. You're on mute, Hugh. And I can't see your screen.
Okay.
There you are. Hello.
Perfect. Oh, shoot.
You're on mute. You're still on mute.
I'm on mute? Okay.
You're on mute, Hugh.
So now,
can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. I know what it is.
Hello.
Perfect. Oh, shoot.
Can you hear me? You're still on mute.
I'm on mute? Okay.
You're on mute, Hugh.
Okay, so but now,
can you hear me?
Yeah, but now we're on, we're actually on YouTube now. Perfect. Oh, shoot.
Can you hear me? You're still.
We're on YouTube now.
We are?
Yeah. Now we're on YouTube. Perfect. Now we're on YouTube. I just shared the link with Avishek. If you say something, let's see if the screen switches back to you. Yep, we're on YouTube. Woo! Okay, so we're on YouTube now.
All right, now you got to make me host so I can share the screen or something.
Yep, perfect. That's the easy part, hopefully. So now we're live on YouTube.
I do have a hard stop at 4:50.
Oh, Lord.
I know.
Okay, I just made you host.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I see your screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the quick introductions and hopefully people are going to get on here. I'm going to send this link to Gary real quick too, and then we could just get the ball rolling. Copies. I think Abhishek is doing something. Wow. I think from here on out, we're just going to do the live on Zoom or Google Meets or something.
Okay.
Okay. Since this is recorded, I'm going to do the introduction, and then at least we'll have that to share. So we'll just start back over. Okay. All right. Investor pitch tips and tricks. Leading the show today is Sal Lucido, co-founder of Asterisk, a multi-million-dollar international business software company. He has recruited and built highly effective departments, including R&D, product management, and sales, as well as invented and brought to market several highly successful, highly profitable software products and mobile apps. Sal is also an angel investor with Sal Valley Angels. Sal, welcome. I'm excited for us to get this show here on the road. So much value to uncover here. But due to all the technical difficulties, I'm sure you're ready to just dive right into things. So let's get the show rolling, Sal. Thank you.
Sounds good, Hugh. So today we're going to talk about investor tips and tricks. These are things that I've learned through hearing thousands of investor pitches, thousands of entrepreneurs pitching their companies, and trying to make the case for raising money, getting investment. And so hopefully these help people out there these tips and tricks help people out there that are in the same boat, trying to get their message across. So I always like to start with this. It's not just what you say, it's also what's unsaid. And I'll dive a little bit more into this, but you can probably relate to this as somebody, even if you're giving pitches about your product and about your company, you can relate to this as someone that has been in the audience and you're taking in information all the time. You're taking in information about what someone's wearing, about how they're talking, about their demeanor, about what's on the screen, et cetera. So that's what I mean by what's unsaid as well, right? So we'll cover how long, how deep to go in your pitches based on the different situations, dealing with some questions, psychology. Always keep an eye on learning about psychology and how people think and how they process information, and some bonus content at the end, Hugh.
Oh, I'm excited.
Okay, so this is a kind of a nice matrix to get yourself to understand that you don't give the same talk all the time. You give a different talk based on how long you have to speak, and the format, whether it's live or in print, you're sending somebody something via email or in video. So just remember that you have to fit your pitch into the time frame allotted for you. So for example, let's just take the top left-hand quadrant here. If you're giving a short pitch and someone says you only have 4 minutes and it's live like we are now, then you really need to pare down your pitch to something like 4 slides, and here's where you give the little teaser, you tell somebody some story, some nugget of information to get them oriented to what you do, what your company does. You go into the market, you talk about why now, why you, and then you get right to how you make money and how you're raising money, your team that can get it done, and right to Q&A. Now, a lot of times the 4 minutes might be your pitch and you get 2 minutes for Q&A. If you go over the 4 minutes, it eats into your question and answer time. And I hate to say this, but the bigger part of your pitch is during Q&A. So you want to get there quickly. And a lot of people will just eat all the way into that. So this is a nice sort of way of thinking about things and getting you oriented towards how long to go based on the situation. We've seen that a lot, right, Hugh, where someone will go over and you're thinking, you need to get to the Q&A.
All the time, all the time.
So that's a nice thing to think about. How deep to go is based on your audience. And so, have you ever been doing a pitch and it's just this huge auditorium full of people, or maybe a huge Zoom call with just some people are there because they are serious investors. Some are there because they're curious. Some might just be friends of friends. In that situation where you just have this large audience, you're really entertaining. You're trying to entertain a large group of people. If you've ever been in a group where you're in the theater, or you're in an audience, they used to do this quite a bit with some of these pitch shows, and you just get bored. The person's talking, they're too in the details, they're too in the minutia of their product. And you're thinking to yourself, you know what, when are we going to get to the snacks and the fun? And the key here is you want to say something exciting like, did you know that universities right now are in trouble, and that due to COVID and some of these other factors, most things are online? In fact, 22% of college courses are now in person and 88% are online. And this is causing colleges to have a problem. Some are going to make it, some aren't. That's an entertaining thing to say. Someone might think to themselves, hey, that's pretty interesting to me, say more. Well, our company is aimed at solving that problem for universities. Let me explain. And so you notice in that methodology, you're more of an entertainer in that you're saying something of interest and saying something interesting. And your goal in that is that you keep everybody at a level that they're not falling asleep, but also you're trying to find the one or two serious investors in the audience to come meet with you after. That's the goal. You're not going to make a sales. You're not going to close a deal in that large audience type format. However, if you're in a group, let's just take the last group here, the serious investors. If you're in a meeting where there are serious investors in the room or in the Zoom meeting, this is where you need to bring your A game. Okay. This is why practicing on the Scaleupstream platform is so important, and messing up, in a place where that's okay. Because when you're with serious investors, this is your shot. So you'll want to have practiced your pitch and got it down. You'll want to have known what the objections are and fixed those things. You'll want to have figured out a way to communicate what you do concisely and professionally before you get with serious investors, okay? So, Hugh, we've been in this situation in the Scaleupstream platform is a perfect way to practice without having, sort of the problem of messing up something that could have been really lucrative for you, right?
Right. The intense pressure.
Yeah. And it takes a while, right? You have to pitch 10, 15 times before you get used to, and you've honed your message. We've seen it on the platform with Scaleupstream is after someone has done the pitch several times, taken the input, they get better.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So, in between these two is the curious investor. That means that you're in these safe zones. You don't know who's serious. You don't know who's just curious. This is where you practice your pitch. Okay. So just keep in mind how deep you go is based on the audience. With somebody that's just a group of people that are serious investors, you want to practice seeing who you can set the hook with, seeing who you can get to meet with you afterwards, but practicing and testing your ideas and getting quickly to the Q&A and then finding out if you can get some after meetings. Okay. But when you're with serious investors, this is key. A lot of them have been already sent your pitch deck. They've already been sent information on you. So they're up to speed on what you are mostly. They need the good stuff. They want to understand the return on investment. They want a clear and concise pitch for how you make money. what this market is like. That's where you really are, you dress nice. You've got the more down to business investor aimed pitch that you're putting out there. Okay. So these are, how deep to go is based on these kinds of situations. Okay. So let's switch to answering questions. And Hugh, you and I know that a lot of times when an investor asks a question, they really almost already know that the answer is probably going to be A or B. How do you make money? Is it subscription or is it, is it ads, for example? The answer could be subscription, stop, full stop. A lot of times you get this rambling answer and the investor is already 3 questions in, like they're thinking 3 questions ahead. I got to get this information from this person. I like what they do. I like what this company does. I have these 4 questions that are just sort of, down to business questions. Give me those answers so we can get to the point where we can figure out what to do next, because I'm kind of interested, right? And you and I have seen people just ramble on in a Q&A and eat up all those other questions to the point where they don't get a chance to really have a dialogue. So short and precise, 1 word is good. And you test your answer. So if I say it's subscription based and I stop and the person says, well, tell me more. Is there tiers? Do you have tiers? Okay, let's answer that. We have 3 tiers. And basically speaking, they get more value out of the higher tier. And it's this, and this. Stop. Full stop. Okay. So when you give answers, you want to make sure that you give it concise. You stop and listen. Maybe they're ready to move to the next question. That question is over. All right. Another thing, your demeanor. Some questions sting a little bit. Like, you do know that you have huge competition in company A, B, and C. Well, a lot of times you might be thinking to yourself, well, they're not really a competitor. And I want to tell you why. And how dare you say that, I have this competitor, and you start getting defensive. Well, they're not really a competitor because this, and this, and you start coming across as being angry. And a lot of times investors are pretty short and tough and have tough questions, but they're not trying to sink you. They're trying to figure out, get right to the meat of the problem. All investors are in your court. They're not sitting there listening to you because they want to knock you down. They're sitting there listening to you because they might be interested, right?
Right.
So knowing that they're on my side and they just gave me a bit of information in their question that might feel a little bit tough, doesn't mean that you move into defensive mode. A lot of times you might move into thank you mode. Right? If somebody says, well, your product doesn't have these things in it, and that's probably crucial to the industry, or in your pitch, I didn't understand this about your company. Well, right there, you say, thank you. That's great feedback for me. Would you like me to explain that based on your question? That's a much better way to come across when it feels like you're being attacked, is you're being gracious. Okay. So be confident, be unapologetic. Some questions sometimes an investor will say something and they're not really asking a question. It might just be a rhetorical statement, and you don't need to go into the weeds with that. So a lot of times your demeanor is a big part. Smile, think about them as on your side, be open to criticism, take notes of that. All of that is a great way of proceeding with the Q&A.
And even to add to that, Sal, some investors really want to know if what you're presenting, if that is more along the lines of a horizontal progress or vertical, right? If it's actually radical change, which would be vertical, or if it's more like a globalization type of thing where it's just a spinoff of something else, or an additive addition to something else versus real innovation. So these questions are not to really harm you, but investors really want to know, are we innovating things here with this product, or are we just making something better?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could be as simple as that. And, the unapologetic part, let's say you're not innovating. You wouldn't apologize. You would just say, there are plenty of companies in this space. Here's how we're different. Just simple as that. So for sure, their demeanor, like you're saying, trying to figure out, part of what you're talking about there, Hugh, is figuring out what is the question, what is the root of the question, right? And that's where the first line here, listen, try to understand what they're asking. And I would go as far as to say, if you don't understand what they're asking, ask them. I don't understand, I don't understand your question, or is it this or this? And get to the root of it. But the more that you hear, the more that you practice this, the more you'll understand what the root of the question is. And again, sometimes it's rhetorical. Now, sometimes investors will take you down a rabbit hole. Maybe there's an investor on there that just loves to get into the weeds. The forum that you're in doesn't allow for it, right?
Right.
So it takes a little bit of tact here. You don't want to get into the weeds and have everyone else have to hear this big diatribe about your P&L, right? This is an opportunity for you to get a follow-up meeting, all right? So maybe someone says, I'd really like to understand your P&L. I don't get how these numbers add up based on the high-level stuff that you just gave me. Can you take me through that? The answer is absolutely. Do you have time for a follow-up meeting? I'd love to go through that with you. Okay. So you don't need to go down into the weeds in a short meeting. Next question. Now you have a follow-up meeting and you're good to go. So a lot of times people will stun you with things like, well, would you take less money, or would you change the percent? Would you change the rate on, your offering? These are team decisions that need to be made with your team. If you answer no or yes, or sort of stumble in that, in that sort of confrontational, right, almost negotiating on the spot meeting question, then you're selling your team out. And a lot of times I like to say, if someone said, would you take this much money? Would you change your rate? Would you allow us to be on a board, on your board? These are all things where you could easily just respond, look, we make decisions as a team. And so all of those kinds of questions we would take up with the team. And I'd love to entertain that with them and get back to you. Okay. So the beauty of that is, remember, what is unsaid is also said, right?
Right.
Is you're letting them know that you're a good CEO, you're a good leader. You don't make decisions for your team without them, right? And an investor will respect that. So these are answering questions. I'm spending a lot of time on this on purpose because, to believe it or not, your pitch is just to kind of get you to the point where you've got people curious and they're asking the questions and you're trying to get that follow-up meeting. Okay, so that's Q&A. I want to talk a little bit about buyer psychology. Just check on our time. I think we're good on time here. So I like to say that humans, just as a species, we do a lot of things to save time. I mean, if you think about it, most of our efforts are done with the idea that we'd like to save some time. So for example, in your bathroom, everything is there. Your toothpaste, your toothbrush, your comb, it's all there. You don't have to leave your bathroom in order to get ready in the morning. It's all there for you. And why? To save you time. So when people are buying, it's the same thing. If you went to buy a car and you knew in your mind, I don't want a white car, I don't want a convertible, I need it to have this gas mileage, or it needs to be electric. So when you're shopping, you're looking at all of the cars that don't meet your criteria and immediately eliminating them, right? So you're thinking to yourself, too much too little horsepower, bad, it's not electric, it's got this, and I'm eliminating all those so that you basically are unbuying, if you think about it. And when somebody's listening to your pitch, an investor's listening to your pitch, they're going through a similar process. So they're thinking to themselves, I only like to invest in software. My favorite thing is, technology and disruptive markets. So as they listen to you and your first line, and you say something like, this is a service and it really is an addition to what's already out there, that investor is going to go, that's not for me. So I'm going to start shutting down. Okay. That's okay. That investor is not who you want. You want the investor that is looking for the items you're trying to check off with your company. So you have to remember in your mind what investors are doing is they're making this laundry list of things and going check, 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 check. Okay. You're not closing a deal. You're just checking off boxes. So that's why I always like to say in your pitch, say what you are quickly. This is the elevator pitch, right? There's a problem right now with universities and they have this situation. We are a platform, a software platform that's subscription-based that solves that problem. Boom, I've given a ton of information. All the unbuyers can go away. My 3 buyers stay and I move into the pitch, all right? So whenever you're out buying something and, maybe you're at the store looking at TV screens or TVs or whatever, remember this psychology is what you're doing. You go to Costco and you see a million TVs, you unbuy all the ones that don't, it's the wrong size, it's the wrong price range. You unbuy all of those and you go right to the ones that fit your model. So remember, hit those objections early. Don't have flaws in your pitch and make sure that your answers are short and sweet. Okay. So that you get the right investors in your court and then you can have that follow-up meeting. We've seen situations, Hugh, where the pitch was given, the investor was like, you had me at hello, I love all of this. And then the entrepreneur rambles on and actually says something that the investor then goes, I'm going to unbuy.
Yeah.
You had me, I'm ready for the due diligence meeting. And then you just rambled on about a bunch of stuff that really maybe your fears or whatever, or, things that you apologize for. And now I'm gone.
Yeah.
So that's why short and sweet is so good is you get them, you get the pitch done, you get the investor excited and interest, ready for a follow-up meeting, and you stop talking. So sometimes you can talk yourself out of a deal because this is the psychology of the buyer. So keep that in mind. And here's my bonus content. So look, we already talked about making sure that your pitch is the right length for the situation, making sure that your pitch is the right depth for the type of investor that you're pitching to, right? And making sure you handle that Q&A part very professionally, the positive demeanor, short and sweet answers. These are key things in your pitch. Here's my bonus material for you. When people listen to you, they're taking information in several modes, okay? Visual, audio, okay? They're reading the words, the text on the screen. They're looking at what you're wearing. Look, there's a guitar right there. There's a plant right there. Hugh's got on a t-shirt. There's a scale up. People take in information in multiple modes, okay? Yeah. Simultaneously. And so I need to get this point across. You need to make sure all of the signals you're giving are the right ones. All right. So think about your slide, the words, what you're saying, how you look, your smile, everything about you. Consider all of those as exports to their senses. Okay. And you really have to think at that level. So I'll give you an example. Here is an example team slide. This is my team. Okay. I get to the team slide. Everybody knows we all have a team slide. Notice something about this slide. It's very visual. There's not much on it. It's super simple. And I've got logos above their head. I have their full name, their title, their picture, and their logos. And notice those logos, maybe they work for 5 companies, right? Those are recognizable logos. Okay, so the first thing is, the first mode is visual, all right? The person sees the slide, you put it up, it's your team. Notice I didn't even put team. I didn't even leave room that says this is my team. I just put their picture, the information I wanted to get across on this slide. And notice they don't see words, they see logos. I mean, obviously Disney's up there and JP Morgan's up there and Apple, but you get the idea. Is that information can quickly get into the brain, and they're thinking, wow, sharp looking group. I see their names, I see their titles, great companies. All right. So when I put the slide up, I don't say anything right at the beginning. I let them drink this in visually, okay, for just a heartbeat. So I put the slide up and I don't say anything. This is our team. Now what I want to do is add to the slide. Do I read their names? Do I say these logos? No.
Right.
That data is already in there, in their brain. I say, we've assembled a talented, experienced team, full stop. The slide backs up what I said, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
They definitely are experienced. They definitely are talented, and they come from great companies. I didn't have to convince them of that. I just layer information on top of the information I already give them. I don't add to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can see when investors are trying to drink in your pitch, you've got to give them room to see the thing. And then you layer a little word on top, a sentence in there, and then you make your point and you tell them what to think. Watch, when I say these, as you can see, these are top experts in each of the key areas, okay? Experts in accounting, in industry, in marketing, in legal, all with impressive credentials. And they are going to be a part of why we are successful. I'm very proud of this team. Full stop. If someone has questions about these people later on, they can, but notice I said a couple of sentences. I didn't repeat what's on the slide, and I let the different modes of communication operate. Okay. So think about that with each one of your slides, and notice that you have to give room for the data to get through with these different modes. So silence, that's where silence comes in, is important. That's why I say it's not just what's said, it's what's unsaid. All right. So think about your presentation in this manner and coordinate it such that you use this sort of understanding in order to get as much across as you can in the shortest period of time. All right. So that's my presentation, Hugh. You know, I always say, what is the goal of your pitch? What's the goal of your pitch deck? What's the goal of you sitting there pitching? It's not to educate. It's not to close a deal. It's not to even explain every single thing about your company. It's to hook the right people, okay? It's to get the right people excited and wanting to know more and meet with you later, okay? It's not to close any deal. It's not to educate them on your entire industry and your entire product. It's simply to get the next meeting. And if you remember that, that'll keep your questions short and sweet. It'll keep you from going down rabbit holes, and it'll keep you on topic. There you go.
Man, that's awesome. Apologies to everyone today. So we won't be able to take much Q&A. Sal has to leave soon, and but we're going to be doing these on Wednesdays. So pay attention to what's in on the Scaleupstream website, and from here forth, we're going to make sure that we have this system here tightly knit. So getting all the bugs out the way. So apologies again on today's technical difficulties, but Sal does have to leave and we won't be able to take many questions. Save your questions for next week. We will be having another on a different topic, and it's going to be very interesting. So be sure to keep a lookout for that. Sal, we appreciate you joining us here and just sharing so much value. Also, this is going to be posted on the YouTube. So for those who got the link a little bit later, you'll be able to watch this back. So again, Sal, thank you. You have a good one.
You too, Hugh. Thanks for having me. Bye, everybody.